I will trust in you. I know that you are with me forever. I'll confide in you, 'cause you're the only answer that matters. Even in the darkness, you will be my light. Even when I'm hopeless, you will be my guide. I will not be shaken, I will not be moved. Even in the chaos, I know that you're good. You're the keeper, protector. It is you that holds us together. When everything else fails us, it is you that holds us together. Whoa, whoa. I will trust in you, your thoughts and plans of me, they are good. I will wait on you. I know that you will see me through. Even in the darkness, you will be my light. Even when I'm hopeless, you will be my guide. I will not be shaken, I will not be moved. Even in the chaos, I know that you're good. You're the keeper, protector. It is you that holds us together. When everything else fails us, it is you that holds us together. You're the keeper, protector. It is you that holds us together. When everything else fails us, it is you that holds us together. Holds us together.
Good morning. Do you know what today is? This is the day that the Lord hath made, and we shall rejoice and be glad in it. Weren't you blessed and encouraged by Miss Asia Bello? Oh my goodness, she sung beautifully unto the Lord. Asia has been blessed to work with some of the industry's greatest artists, such as Jeff Majors, Kirk Franklin, Alicia Keys, Kenny Lattimore, and Mary, just to name a few. Asia has lended her gifts with Grammy-nominated and Stellar Award-winning Anthony Brown and group therapy, and is currently working on her debut EP. She endeavors to touch the hearts of people all across the world through her story, her message, and her music. Thank you so much, Asia. Wow, you really blessed us. You blessed the Health and Nutrition Conference on today. Thank you to all of you for tuning in. My goodness, we are delighted that you have joined us from all over the United States. We got people representing California, Missouri, North Carolina, New York, Maryland, Virginia, Florida, Pennsylvania, and especially the first state of Delaware. I am your host. My name is R.J. Chandler Sr., and I am the proud pastor of the historic Scott African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church located in Wilmington, Delaware. But I am also the founding pastor of the Transformation African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church in Dover, the first Zion church in Dover. The visionary and the leader of the Health and Nutrition Conference is my dear friend and brother beloved, Mr. Adrian Howard. Both he and I believe that the church ought to do what the master said, which is to feed the hungry, clothe the naked, and provide shelter to those who are in need. I am mindful of the scripture in the Message Bible, Matthew, the 25th chapter, starting around the 34th verses. And it says, "Then the king will say to those on his right, 'Enter you who are blessed by my Father. Take what's coming to you in this kingdom. It's been ready for you since the world's foundation, and here's why. I was hungry, and you fed me. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was homeless, and you gave me a room. I was shivering, and you gave me clothes. I was sick, and you stopped to visit. I was in prison, and you came to me.' Then those sheep are going to say, 'Master, what in the world are you talking about? When did we ever see you hungry and feed you, thirsty and give you drink? And when did we ever see you sick or in prison and come to you?' Then the king will say, 'I am telling the solemn truth. Whenever you did one of these things to someone overlooked or ignored, that was me. You did it to me.'" This passage of scripture gave birth to the Feeding Families Food Relief Program of the Transformation African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church. Family, our vision is that we will provide educational opportunities where people of all ethnicities, but especially Black and Brown communities, will learn how to eat healthier. Our mission is to feed, clothe, and minister to the physical needs of humanity. The HealthNut Conference was an idea brought about by the need for more information on how to have and live a healthier life. The need for access to vital health information became very apparent during this COVID-19 pandemic. The producers of the HealthNut Conference thought this event could be instrumental in communities in Delaware as well as across the nation. Along with providing health information, the HealthNut Conference is a fundraising effort designed to help give food, clothing, shelter, relief to those in need in our communities. Family, right now, you have an opportunity to partner with us financially, because throughout this conference, we will ask you for your financial assistance and pray that you will sow into this fertile ground. I pray that you will truly join us in our fight to rid the world of hunger, of poverty. And if we can bring our resources together, as the scripture talks about in the book of Acts, chapter 2, verses 42 through 45, I believe that we will be able to make a difference in our communities. This conference will address COVID-19 vaccination hesitancy, testing, booster shots, and mental illness. Additionally, it will address the health disparities in Black and Brown communities, such as cancer, lack of information, diabetes, high blood pressure, and hypertension. Thank you so very much for being a part of this historic conference as we learn more about how we can be more healthy, how we can be healthy mentally, as well as physically. At this time, it is my honor and privilege to present the Right Reverend W. Darren Moore, presiding prelate of the Mid-Atlantic Episcopal District of the African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church, the Freedom Church of Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, and Sojourner Truth. Bishop Moore presides over a large area that includes Philadelphia, Baltimore, Allegheny, Ohio, Virginia, East Tennessee, Barbados, St. Vincent, Guyana, Suriname conferences. He is a highly sought after preacher because he is dynamic. His teaching is par excellent. And I'm a witness that when this man opens his mouth to declare God's word, you're going to feel it in your heart and you're going to want to love God even more. In the tradition of the African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church, we stand in respect of the office of bishop. However, virtually, I ask that you would receive him with a hearty amen. Let us receive now Bishop W. Darren Moore.
Greetings, beloved. In the third epistle of John, chapter 1, verse 2, the Bible says, "Beloved, I pray that all may go well with you and that you may be in good health, just as it is well with your soul." Wow. That's my prayer for you as well. The text is teaching us the relatedness between being healthy in body, mind, and spirit. The church has always emphasized a healthy spirituality. However, not only have we often failed to make physical health a priority, quite frankly, with some of our food functions, we have actually contributed in some measure to a less than healthy lifestyle for many of our members. So I want to congratulate the outstanding sponsors, including the Reverend Dr. Reginald Chandler Sr., for this important virtual conference entitled Eat Better, Live Healthier. Let me say that again. Eat better, live healthier. A dear friend of mine, or at least I thought he was a friend, when he saw the social media posting about this conference, immediately texts me and asks, how could they invite you to speak at a healthy eating conference? He actually knows of my struggle with food choices throughout my life and the continuing battle I have to become the healthiest person possible. My response to my friend was to remind him that the Apostle Paul wrote more than half of the New Testament, giving us the most complete teaching on living right and being holy. Yet, the Apostle Paul called himself the chief among sinners. The truth is that often it's the ones of us who have had the greatest struggles who then are able to give the most authentic testimonies. So I greet you this morning, not as someone who has a great physique, not as one who is in the gym daily, not even as one who always makes the right food choices. I greet you rather today as a sinner who is on this journey towards better health, one day, one step, one meal, one decision at a time. My wife and I are blessed to have 5 amazing grandchildren who bring us so much joy. Last fall, while playing with 3 of them, I became so winded that I had to sit down on the sofa. My grandson begged me to get up and keep playing with him. Come on, Papa, let's play. But I was just too exhausted. It occurred to me at that moment that getting older is not an option. That's inevitable. As long as you live, you're going to get older. But I decided I could make the right choices now to help me enjoy more quality time with my grandchildren. It's not whether I would get older, it's how will I get older. So 1 year later, I am thrilled to report to you that I've lost 30 pounds. My A1C levels have decreased significantly. My blood pressure is better than it was 10 years ago. Now, let me be perfectly clear. I don't want anybody to get it twisted. I have a long way to go before I'm ready to be a model for the next cover of Men's Health magazine. Seriously, I am not suggesting that I have arrived, but I am better. I focused on reducing 3 S words in my life. Now, as a Christian, sin should always be at the top of that list, but there are 3 other S words that I focused on reducing. 1 is stress, 2 is sitting, and 3 is sugar. The medical experts will tell you that sugar causes so many health challenges and is associated not only with increased risks of diabetes, high blood pressure, inflammation, obesity, but it is even related to an increased risk for heart attack and stroke. Also, experts will tell you that eating sugar releases opioids and dopamine in our brains, creating some of the pleasure sensations and addictive behaviors that are similar, having some of the same effects that drugs will have. In that case, let me confess that for most of my life, I've been addicted to ice cream, chocolate cake, Reese's peanut butter cups, and sweet potato pie. In fact, when you also consider that I used to crave something sweet after every meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, not to mention sneaking in to the food pantries late at night, I was actually experiencing an overdose of sugar. For the past year, I have made enormous strides in reducing my sugar intake. I walk a few miles at least 3 days a week, and I attempt to manage and guard my time to ensure that I can get 7 hours of sleep each night. Reducing, although not eliminating, those 3 S words, stress, sitting, and sugar, for me is making progress. I believe it can be progress for you too. So like the Apostle Paul, I can say, not that I have already attained or am already perfected, but I press towards the goal for the prize of the high calling in Christ Jesus. But not only a high calling spiritually, but the call to good health in Christ Jesus. So, beloved, during these sessions, listen well, learn well, and then let's all press to live well. God bless you. Have a great conference. Blessing and love always.
Thank you, Bishop Moore, for greeting us today. I truly appreciate those warm words of affection as you greeted us here at the Health and Nutrition Virtual Conference. Next, we have our keynote speaker, Mr. Terry Murphy, who is the president and CEO of Bay Health Incorporated. Mr. Murphy received his bachelor's degree in biological sciences from Belmont Abbey in 1982 and a master's degree in health services administration from the George Washington University in 1985. He was appointed president and chief executive officer of Bay Health Incorporated and president and chief executive officer of Bay Health Medical Center Incorporated in October of 2009. After holding previous titles as Bay Health Medical Center executive vice president and chief operating officer, and prior vice president of Bay Health Southern Region. Mr. Murphy is responsible for overseeing the day-to-day operations of Bay Health in both Kent and Sussex County, in Kent and Sussex hospitals. He currently serves as the chairman of the Bay Health Medical Center Board, vice chairman of the Board of Trustees for the University of Delaware, and a member of the Delaware Business Roundtable. Mr. Murphy is also a fellow of the American College of Healthcare Executives and a member of the Healthcare Financial Management Association. He is the Delaware delegate and member of the American Hospital Association Regional Policy Board, Region number 3. I am delighted that Mr. Murphy has decided to sacrifice his time to spend with all of us virtually. And so I ask that you would receive him now. We are ready for Mr. Murphy. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Chandler. I really do appreciate being asked. The introduction, I think it was Lyndon Johnson who would say that's an introduction my father would appreciate, my mother would believe. And so thank you so much. And Mr. Howard for setting up this very, very important conference. This gets to the heart of what we are and what most hospitals are. I know many of you are from across the country, some internationally, but improving the health status of the community is really what most health systems across the country are all about today. Bishop Moore's message, I would also say, was spot on. I had a cardiovascular surgeon tell me a couple of years ago that putting sugar in your body is like putting sawdust in your car, and that always strikes me if I go for a scoop of sugar. So I appreciate Bishop Moore's message as well. It is spot on. It's a challenge for the entire nation as access to these things are so easy. And how do we work with the community to improve that? Next slide, please, Derek. So this is, next slide. Just for those outside the community, we are a sole provider in Kent County, Delaware, and we are one of 3 hospitals in Sussex County. Combined, we're over 400 beds as an organization, and we are very focused on our mission, which is improving the health status. So although these are pictures of hospitals and we take care of people when they're sick, where most hospitals are putting a lot of time, effort, and energy is really how do we improve the health status? How do we improve health? So the work by the Feeding Families Food Relief Committee is so extremely important because it gets to the health of our community. So I do appreciate the work of the community. Next slide. And we employ about 3,000 to 4,000 people in the community. So we're also a large community asset as it relates to jobs and influence. I wanted to speak today in really 5 areas that I think, again, this is part of our approach to improving the health status of our community. But most health systems, not just Delaware, across the country, are very focused on these areas. Unique to us, I'll cover how we do what is our status as an organization and how do we approach financial assistance. We'll talk about how we determine what the needs of the community are as it relates to the community's health. And I've got some really some dire information, but some good approaches. And again, I think Feeding Families Food relief committee, and this work is so important, particularly in this area. We'll share social determinants of health. Health disparities are created, and one thing that's been very clear as we move through 3 years of the pandemic is there are health disparities, and disparities are created by many of these social determinants of health. Want to share a little bit about what we're doing in medical education as it relates to access, because access is extremely important, and then diversity, equity, inclusion. So I'll share a little bit about that over the next 10 minutes. And again, thank you everyone for your time. Next slide. So for those outside the area, we're a not-for-profit organization. All hospitals in Delaware are not-for-profit organizations, which means we don't, anything that's left over after we have all of our bills paid and we collect all of our bills, if there's money left over, it's just returned back. We are a community asset. So there's no one that owns our organization. We're part of the community. And most hospitals across the country are not-for-profit, although there are many for-profit hospitals across the country. But here in Delaware, all of the hospitals are not-for-profit organizations. What does that mean? And any dollars associated with the organization, we pay a lot of attention to community benefit. So that community benefit can take a number of different, can have a number of different approaches. The first is just financial assistance. So for anyone in the community that's at 250% below the below the poverty level, 200%, 250% times the poverty level, there's no bill that people receive for care. Care is actually a free care. So most not-for-profit organizations provide this. For us, it was about $15 million at cost in 2022. But health systems also provide a lot of other community benefits. We provide education to health professionals. So these may be people that are coming out of high school that want to enter the healthcare profession. There's a big need, so we subsidize those educational efforts. We also subsidize healthcare services. For us in particular, I would say high-risk obstetrical services is a very expensive program to run, and it operates at a loss, but that's part of what the community needs. So we provide a very large high-risk OB service, obstetrical service, in Kent and Sussex County, Delaware. We're also involved in research to help the health needs of the community. We provide in-kind contributions. Our sponsorship today, like many sponsorships we do for community organizations, is a big part of what we do, as well as just community building activities in support of other community organizations. So not-for-profit organizations, not-for-profit hospitals, although we have large buildings, we're very entrenched in our communities and providing community benefit back to the communities where we operate. Next slide, Derek. So one of the most essential things that we do in healthcare, and we just, this says 2022 because it's actually going to be released, I think, within the next 2 weeks, a community health needs assessment. We just don't sit around and think of, hey, what do we think the community needs? We actually go out to a number of different stakeholders, stakeholder groups. We ask the public, and we ask a lot of information as it relates to the community's health to get feedback to say, where do we need to focus as a community citizen in our communities, wherever that is in Kent and Sussex County. So we're just coming off of completing it. So you're the first to get the initial blush review of the community health needs assessment. And it's really designed to find out what the needs of the community are. Since that's our mission, we shouldn't assume that. We should go out to the community to ask. So we're just coming off and completing the community health needs assessment, and the areas of community health needs, which should be no surprise to most. But number one is obesity, and these aren't in any particular order, so I'll give the order. Obesity. In Kent County, Delaware, we have a 42% obesity prevalence, which really is related to the body mass index of individuals. But that's up 43% since 2012. I'll say that again. That's up 43% since 2012. The prevalence of obesity is 31%. So in Kent County, we're at 42%. So this work over the next 2 days, the work of the church, the work of the community, the work of individuals related to obesity and healthy eating is essential to get to health improvement. And so that's why we're heavily involved and have a number of programs associated with that. And that will continue to be our focus as we release these results and put together the plan of how do we do that? What are the community groups we work with and those types of things. The second, probably no surprise, it's been exacerbated by the pandemic, and it's national. It's not just in our county or our state. Mental health issues. It continues to be continuing to grow for those with young children, even older adults with mental health issues, stress, depression, all those things. We have a very strong need for interventions in community health, strengthening of mental health. The third one for our community, and this is specifically for Kent County, is preventable emergency room visits and hospitalizations. And so we actually asked the community, why would that be? And access to physicians, access to physician appointments, to clinics, and those things is a very big issue for Kent County. So this is a very big focus for Bay Health. The one that's not on there is also just the social determinants of health. So the fourth area is the social determinants of health and improving, and I'm going to cover that actually in the next slide. So the social determinants of health, which are extremely important for health systems, really refer to key areas that can impact an individual's health outcome. Their health outcome, their age of life, their prevalence of comorbid conditions, cancer, heart conditions, high blood pressure, diabetes, all these things really are impacted by these social determinants of health. And they're listed over on the right, but they include economic stability. How many, and we ask in this community health assessment, how many times did you have to forego medication because you could not afford it, or you had to forego food, or you didn't have transportation? All these things have something to do with impacting an individual's long-term health income. So economic stability, neighborhood and physical environment, education, community safety and social context, and actually health and health care in the community. All these things are really strongly related to an individual's health outcome. And so this is actually a big push on our community health needs assessment and how do we help address these things. Now, you don't address social determinants of health unless you really can tactfully ask and bring that out empathetically as patients come to our health system. So over the past year, we've been doing assessments of social needs through our electronic health record. So when a patient comes to our emergency room, or they may be an inpatient, we'll ask them questions empathetically in a kind way to really determine where someone may have a social determinant need. And we use that information then to connect them to be a convener with organizations in the community that may be able to help. That could be Catholic Charities. We use an organization beginning last year called Unite DE. They're part of a national-wide organization called Unite US. And this organization helps connect people with these needs, either coming out of our emergency department if they've been discharged, or if they've been in an inpatient and they're discharged, how to connect that through our social workers to get those needs better met. And then we're going to be looking at that data and seeing how does that improve or get worse. So again, this will become part of our future evolution of how we use that data to just be better at improving the health of our community by addressing these social determinants of health. Next slide, please. Access is also an area that was mentioned, access to care. In this community health needs assessment, it was identified that 54% of Kent Countyans felt like they could not access a medical provider. And that's just a huge percentage. The data would show that. The national data on the number of physicians based on your population shows a big need in both Kent. It's actually a little bit worse in Sussex County, so we know that there's generally a need. And so we started a year ago a residency program to attract individuals who were finishing medical school to complete their residency. And last year we started a family medicine, internal medicine clinic. And these physicians are graduated physicians, but they need to complete, in the first two cases, 3-year residency programs. Our hope is those residents will stay in the community once they graduate, once they have established physician-to-physician relationships. But the one thing I wanted to mention about access is we have a family medicine clinic on State Street in Dover and an internal medicine clinic on 113 in Sussex County, in which these residents provide access to 50,000 patient visits a year, 30,000 in Dover, 20,000 in Sussex, in Milford. And these physicians provide access to people that may not have a medical home, that can't get access. Maybe they're homeless, but these physicians provide these visits. It's part of our residency program. In addition, we have a pharmacist embedded in the family medicine clinic and a mental health provider in the clinic, so that patients that may not have a medical home can have full primary care access with these embedded practitioners to take care of the whole individual. This year, we started a general surgery residency program to get more surgeons, and emergency medicine residency application was approved for next year. By 2027, we'll be graduating 109 physicians, and if we can keep some of those physicians that graduate in our communities, we're going to provide better access for Kent and Sussex County residents. Next slide, please. So just a comment on diversity, equity, inclusion. This isn't just Bay Health. All the hospitals in Delaware are participating in the American Hospital Association's Institute for Diversity and Health Equity Roadmap. It's really to help healthcare organizations evaluate where they are in these 6 areas: equitable, inclusive organizational policies, how we use data to drive action to address health disparities, diverse representation and leadership and governing body, community collaboration for success, which is part of what today is collaboration for success, systemic and shared accountability, and culturally appropriate patient care. These are all the things that hospitals in the state of Delaware, I think we were the first state to have all the hospitals sign up to do the health equity roadmap. And so we're all working towards creating a diverse and inclusive, not only organization, but how we operate an organization in the community. We actually use a great little training and education platform with all of our staff and providers called Blue Ocean Brain to look at things like unconscious bias and just how we work together as an organization. So I'm very proud of our organization. I'm proud of the work that we're doing. And again, I just want to thank Reverend Chandler, Mr. Howard, and putting this effort on. I applaud the community. We look forward to continuing to work with the Kent County community to improve the health status and health outcomes. And we look forward to sharing our community health needs assessment when it comes out. We've got a lot of work to do, but with great people, we can get the work done. Thank you very much.
Welcome to Delaware State University, or otherwise known as Hornet Territory.
Not only are we the only HBCU in the third state, we're also the most diverse and contemporary HBCU in the country.
My name is Kaylin Pride, a senior majoring in mass communications with a concentration in digital media.
And I am Corbin Weatherspoon, a senior majoring in engineering physics with a minor in mathematics.
We're here to give you a quick tour so that you know what's in store. DSU cares about its students and helping them achieve both their academic and professional goals.
Whether it be engineering, mass communications, aviation, computer science, or business, but to be honest, there's too many to mention. All I can say is Delaware State is dedicated to your success.
The university offers tons of opportunities such as career advisement, internships at Fortune 500 companies, study abroad with its international partners, academic support, and even direct access to groundbreaking research.
Now let's take you to where it all began.
Lockerman Hall.
DSU got its start as a land-grant institution, known as the State College for Colored Students. In 129 years, DSU has become the most diverse, contemporary HBCU in the country, offering 44 undergraduate majors, 18 graduate degrees, and 5 doctoral degrees through its 4 colleges.
Now, let's check out a few of the things that make each college unique. In the College of Business, students can receive hands-on trading room experience with real-time financial data while studying management or working toward an MBA degree. DSU's aviation program takes flight through our own fleet of over 15 aircraft and experienced and dedicated instructor staff and a state-of-the-art flight simulator. DSU is simply the best flight education opportunity on the East Coast of the United States.
Or maybe you have dreams of becoming the next big recording artist, commentator, or host like my co-host.
The College of Humanities, Education, and Social Sciences
Offers a state-of-the-art music technology lab and recording studio to help you get started. We also have an incredible television broadcasting studio for students to find their place either in front or behind the camera. Also, our amazing applied research, neuroscience, physics, and so much more. And if that's not enough, we also love to brag on our top-notch honors program that empowers exceptional students.
DSU offers what you need to be successful with incredible colleges programs such as the College of Agriculture, Science, and Technology, the College of Humanities, Education, and Social Sciences, the College of Business, and the College of Health and Behavioral Sciences.
And when you're not in the classroom, there are plenty of places on campus to experience college life. You can catch up with your study group in the William C. Jason Library, or just get fit in our Wellness and Recreation Center. The Wellness Center is 54,000 square feet of pure awesome. It has 2 full-size basketball courts, an indoor track, 2 large weight room areas, and a swimming pool. And just across from the Wellness Center is the center of student life here on campus, the Martin Luther King Jr. Student Center, or as we students like to call it, the MLK. It is a great place to socialize with your friends, hang out in the games and activities room, and even some snacks and DSU gear from the campus bookstore. It's also the #1 spot to participate in a number of student organizations and activities.
When it comes to the DSU culture, one of the first things that comes to mind is homecoming. During homecoming, the campus is not only flooded with students, but also alums too. The week is jam-packed with so many events and activities, from step show competitions, tailgating parties held by Greek organizations, to even the annual homecoming concert featuring the hottest artists. This week is truly the celebration of the year. Here at DSU, we believe in tradition and good vibes. Our swarm of more than 300 student athletes passionately compete in 18 NCAA Division I sports and have proudly earned MEAC championship titles, regional and national titles, and all academic honors,
which we love to display. Visit us online at www.desu.edu/admissions and schedule your personal tour at desu.edu/tour.
We hope you will join our DSU family.
I'm telling you, I am so very much blessed to hear that wonderful presentation of Mr. Murphy. It was simply awesome. Thank you so very much for sharing with us on today. I really appreciate how you dealt with obesity, mental health, preventable emergency room visits, and health equity roadmap. Those are very important topics in the Black and Brown community. And I really appreciate the great work that is being done by Bay Health in Kent and Sussex counties of the state of Delaware. Truly, Bay Health is a wonderful example of how corporations can impact communities and do it in such a way that people truly benefit from the various services. Thank you, Mr. Murphy, for spending time with us on today. Family, I don't want you to think that we're just here just to give you education. We are also here to raise funds because there are so many needs in our communities. People need clothes, they need food, they need shelter. And I truly believe that the church has to be a part of the solution. And so I pray that you would partner with us as we meet the needs of our community. All we're asking for is just $10. $10 will go a long way as we continue to provide nutritionist meals for Delawareans up and down the state. Would you be kind enough to assist us? We would be extremely grateful. At this time, I am very pleased to introduce a very dear friend who I have met over the course of this HealthNut conference planning, Dr. Gwendolyn Scott Jones, who currently serves as the new founding dean for Delaware State University's Wesley College of Health and Behavioral Sciences. Oh my goodness. By the appointment as dean by the board, Dr. Scott served as chair and associate professor in the Department of Psychology for approximately 12 years. Dr. Scott Jones received her Bachelor's of Science in Psychology and Master's of Social Work degrees from Delaware State University. Subsequently to receiving her degrees from Delaware State University, she attended Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine and obtained a master's in clinical psychology and a doctorate in clinical psychology and certification in cognitive behavioral therapy. She comes with a wealth of knowledge. She has done a great work preparing herself for such a time as this to lead this department at the Wesley College, which was acquired by Delaware State University. And she comes highly recommended by the president, Dr. Tony Allen. We are very pleased to have Dr. Gwendolyn Scott Jones, and I ask that she will be brought on at this time as we welcome her to the HealthNut 2022. Hey, Dr. Scott Jones, how are you?
I'm doing well. And thanks for having me. I want to say on behalf of Dr. Tony Allen, the 12th president, and the DSU community, we want to thank you, Dr. Chandler, and your conference committee for inviting Delaware State University to this virtual conference and call to action. As a higher education institution and the only HBCU in the state of Delaware, Delaware State University is committed to our community by providing an outreach and primary prevention. And I want to let everyone know that primary prevention refers to the actions people take to help them avoid developing specific health problems. So in short, education is a vital part of primary prevention. Next slide, please. I want to start off by just letting everyone know or reminding everyone of the university's mission. Delaware State University is a public, comprehensive 1890 land grant institution. The mission of the university is to provide for the citizens of Delaware and others who attend the university a meaningful and relevant education that emphasizes both the liberal and professional aspects of education. Now, the Wesley College of Health and Behavioral Sciences, which we changed the name subsequent to the acquisition, that was on July 1, 2021. The college mission is to provide an interdisciplinary approach to community engagement, education, training, research, and behavioral health care. Building on the mission of the university, the Wesley College of Health and Behavioral Sciences mission is to train our students to be researchers and health practitioners, more specifically, scholar practitioners, who will have the ability to work with diverse populations. Next slide, please. So I want to start out by telling everyone about what we're offering, because some of our offerings are actually different. We have an associate's degree in psychology. You could attend that associate's degree either traditionally, that means in person, or online. We have a bachelor's in psychology. Both those that offering is traditional and online as well. We have a certificate in alcohol and drug counseling, and you can get that program traditionally and online as well. Now, we will have a BA in alcohol and drug counseling. That program will be online. One of the joys about that particular program is that you can also acquire your CADC while you're matriculating in the program. We will be finished developing that program for fall 2023. Also, the Department of Psychology, they're working on a master's in clinical psychology with subspecialty areas in neuropsychology and school psychology. See, these are programs where we're also working with the school districts. We're working with hospitals to identify what's needed in our illustrious state of Delaware. And we will have that master's programs developed for fall 2023. Next slide, please. We have the Department of Public and Allied Health. Individuals can receive a BS in public health. Those offerings are traditionally, or you could attend online. The Associates in Public Health, we're working on developing that online. It's also available traditionally, and the completion of that program will be in fall of 2023. We're also in the process of developing a master's in public health with subspecialty areas in epidemiology and global health. This program will be online. COVID-19 actually taught us something. We know that we needed to have a call to action, but we also need to know the origination of certain diseases that may plague our communities. We have a kinesiology program, as well as we have the Masters of Occupational Therapy program, which is the only program in the state of Delaware. Next slide, please. We have the Department of Nursing. And currently, the Department of Nursing is the largest department here on our Delaware State University campus of majors. They have approximately 618 majors pursuing a nursing degree. So we're offering a BS, which is a Bachelor's of Science in Nursing. We're also just offering something that's very new to the program. It is a RN to MSN program, and this provides career mobility. A person with an associate's degree, or if a person is a diploma nurse, a diploma nurse, can come to Delaware State University and receive a BSN and then an MSN in approximately 3 years. We also offer a MSN with subspecialty areas in global leadership and nurse education. This is solely offered online. We are working on developing another subspecialty area in our Master's of Science in Nursing program in family nurse practitioner. As we begin to look at our call to action as well, we begin to look at programs that will be very impactful also in our community. Next slide, please. We have the social work department. The social work department now has an associate's degree in social work. We have a bachelor's in social work. We offer a master's in social work, and our master's in social work is the only accredited program here in the state of Delaware. We are currently working on establishing a doctorate in social work, and that will be developed by fall of 2023. Delaware State is on fire. Next slide, please. So I want to talk to you about what else falls under the college. Okay, we have a trauma academy that was established around 2020. And the mission of this trauma academy is to provide the skills necessary to impart healing and primary prevention that will address adverse childhood experiences, race-based trauma, and community violence by offering trainings, conferences, webinars, certificate programs, and community outreach. I forgot to mention, we're also looking in the space of complex trauma as well. The goal of the Trauma Academy is to create a pipeline of healing professionals trained to provide culturally responsive and trauma-informed care. DSU's Trauma Academy will focus on imparting knowledge and values that enable helping professionals to skillfully engage in service delivery to individuals who were impacted by toxic stress or complex trauma, or you could also call it vicarious trauma. The DSU Trauma Academy will offer various trainings and educational opportunities that will enhance a participant's understanding of trauma and the developmental impact that it can have on an individual. This program is led by me and Ms. Kim Graham. Next slide, please. So built into that program, or under that particular program, we have a certificate program called the Healing Trauma from an African-Centered Healing Approach. And here are the objectives of this particular program. One is to establish a training model based on the African-centered healing approach to develop a cadre of professionals who can deliver culturally sensitive care to individuals experiencing trauma. And also to provide participants with the skills necessary for helping professionals to explore unconscious biases, as well as creating a climate to have healthy and constructive conversations when identifying the underlying causes of one's traumatic experience, and to minimize the impact of toxic stress by teaching clients or individuals how to be psychologically resilient through a cultural approach. Next slide, please. I also want to tell you about the Biomedical Behavioral and Allied Health Center. And the center director is Dr. Cynthia Newton. I am the executive director of this center. And the mission of this Biomedical Behavioral and Allied Health Center is to strengthen the university's capacity to serve as a higher educational institution within the state of Delaware that will serve as a catalyst for research, outreach programming, and experiential learning and training. In addition, the Biomedical Behavioral and Allied Health Center will provide guidance to the state and work collaboratively with other organizations to provide integration of research and service delivery. Now, I must tell you that this center is co-located in the Capitol Park residential area in Dover, Delaware. Next slide, please. Here are the goals of the center. Goals of the center are to conduct biomedical, behavioral, and allied health research, to provide a research and clinical training site for our students here at Delaware State University and the faculty as well. And when we're talking about access to care, it also will allow the students to have experiential learning and for individuals within the community in that particular catchment area to access healthcare. And we'll talk about that a little later. Also, the goals are to enhance collaborations with other community partners within the state of Delaware, to improve community outreach and promote integrated healthcare services for the citizens in the state of Delaware, and to provide a culturally relevant and holistic approach to providing best practices surrounding research and behavioral and allied health care. Next slide, please. So here are some of the services that we have now, and we're also looking to partner with others. We have Tova Healthcare, led by Dr. Nina Anderson. Dr. Nina Anderson is also in the Wilmington area. She specializes in sickle cell treatment and health disparities. She operates a clinic out of the Biomedical Behavioral and Allied Health Center approximately maybe 2 times a week in our Kent County region. We also have Sleep, Stress, and Behavioral Neuroscience program that's led by Dr. Janice Brownlow. Dr. Janice Brownlow is a neuropsychologist, and she also is a faculty member in the Department of Psychology. We also provide community and civic engagement for youth and their families. This year, I'm really pleased that we were able to have approximately 22 youth attend a free summer camp. We were all able to take those individuals from the community on field trips. And this is as a result of also our faculty members seeking grants so that we can fund activities similar to the one that we just had. This is a great opportunity. We're also looking to improve our workforce development by providing workforce development trainings to individuals in the community, as well as our own individuals that we have working here at our institution. The center has a computer lab where we can do a lot of work with that particular computer lab. We have the DSU Trauma Academy that's also co-located there. And if anyone needed any services from the Trauma Academy, whether it's for your church or whether it's for your school, your organization, professional services, you can please feel free to reach out to myself or Miss Kim Graham. We have something new where we just entered into a partnership with the Division of Substance Abuse and Mental Health, as well as the University of Delaware and other community partners such as Network Connect. The University of Delaware is a part of the Community Wellbeing Initiative in Newcastle County area. However, they expanded the services to Kent County, and Delaware State University will lead the effort on that particular effort for this Community Wellbeing Initiative. Network Connect will be implementing and executing the service delivery in the community. There are 14 community well-being ambassadors who are overseen by 2 community coordinators. These individuals are charged with going out into the community, working with individuals, making sure that these individuals are connected with services, that they have access, that they know how to apply for a Medicaid card, Medicare card. If they have food insecurities, these community well-being ambassadors are on the ground, boots on the ground, out there working, partnering with them, helping and connecting them. This is what we call 21st century case management at its best. I was very pleased to see that the Division of Substance Abuse and Mental Health actually took this grassroots model, and we're also reaching out to some of these communities where individuals, because of social determinants and environment and also stigma, would not go out to reach for care, that actually we are going to the person's environment to ensure that they get connected and get the services that they need. This is a monumental program that I think is also cutting edge. The services at the Biomedical Center, we also have a small food pantry that we're looking to expand that as well, where we help the individuals in the community. We also partner with the state of Delaware's food bank. We're just pleased about that as well. We have the food bank to come set up at the center, and we reach out to the community. So primary prevention programs for overall health. And what I mean by overall health is the physical, mental, and behavioral. This is what this particular center, that's its aim and its goal. Next slide, please. So I want to thank you all for the time. Delaware State University is really pleased to be at the table. We're a community partnership. We thrive ourselves on primary prevention, community outreach, and scholarship, diversity, and we're also the most contemporary HBCU in the state of Delaware, or I'm going to say nationally. Thank you, Dr. Chandler, for having us.
Absolutely. That was a phenomenal presentation talking about the greatness of Delaware State University. Thank you so very much. We did have some questions that came from those who are watching online, and I just wanted to touch on those questions, if that's okay,
Sure.
Dr. Scott Jones. The first question is, what are the health challenges that the college students face at Delaware State University?
Okay, one of them is also when we were talking about access to care, and we're working with that. A lot of students have trauma. A lot of students have some underlying mental health issues. And being able to have a service delivery where the students don't have to worry about the stigma of getting help for their, whether it's behavioral health needs, substance abuse needs, or mental health, and going into a area where their peers would see them walking in, and it's known to be an area of service for those particular needs. That's one of the things we're actually working on. Delaware State's doing more virtual telehealth type of approach to working with students, and we have some more things in the work that we're working to do at the downtown campus as well, so that we can target those specific needs.
Wow, that's great. That is so good to know. And another question is, how can students learn more about the healthcare programs that are available to them?
Well, we can continue as we are having forums. Okay, we have forums on a regular basis here at the university, and information sharing, making sure that we have it listed on our e-news where the students have access to looking at what's available for them and how they can access services. I just had taken note that Delaware State University updated its webpage. But more specifically, I looked at the e-news, and the e-news also had demonstrated to students how they could, they had access to the care, or they could call for crisis intervention after hours. So I was very pleased to see that.
Wow, that's great. Thank you so very much for this wonderful presentation. It's thought-provoking and extremely informative, because we have a lot of Delawareans that will be looking at Delaware State University to matriculate as a student, all of our various high schools, and all of the wonderful programs that Delaware State offers to all of the Delawareans is just simply fantastic. And not just Delawareans, but beyond the borders of the great state, the first state of Delaware. Thank you again for this wonderful presentation, and we look forward to seeing you later for our round table. Thank you.
And I just wanted to add, I'm an alumni here at Delaware State University, and it's just a great time to be a Hornet. I'm very committed to the success of this illustrious institution, and you will see more and hear more positive things about Delaware State University. So thank you, Dr. Chandler.
And thank you. And Delaware State, as well as Bay Health, are some of our largest sponsors for this HealthNut virtual conference. And we thank them for their seeds that they've sown into this fertile ground. Thank you so very much. And may I also add that on next year, not only will we be virtual, but we will be face-to-face. And the conference will be hosted by the Delaware State University. So get ready. We're taking this to the next level, and we hope that you will be a part of this very important conference. At this time, let us break for a commercial.
Because of you all, I was able to have an absolutely amazing experience last spring at the Virginia Tech Relay for Life, along with staying at the Baltimore Hope Lodge with my mother for 6 weeks and saving more money than I can comprehend. And the best part about it is I'm cancer-free, so thank you, ACS!
Thank you for all the support you gave my mom.
Thank you for 17 more years with this beautiful woman.
Hello, I'm Dr. Karen Knudsen, CEO of the American Cancer Society and the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network. This last year has been challenging, to say the least. You understood that for cancer patients, their families, and their caregivers, the pandemic created even greater stress, uncertainty, and challenges. Through it all, you offered invaluable and critical support to ACS. It's because of you that we can continue to make life-saving discoveries and provide quality support and resources to those who need it most. Thank you for standing with us and for building a brighter future together.
Hello, this is Jason Playa, Director of Development for your American Cancer Society in our greater Philadelphia area. Your American Cancer Society has been in existence for over 100 years. We've done quite a bit and plan to be involved in many future accomplishments in the future. As Dr. Miyamoto states in this slide, the American Cancer Society has been here for decades and has led the journey. They know the focus is the research. They know the focus is the patient, getting people well and beating the disease. The American Cancer Society exists because the burden of cancer is unacceptably high. Our mission is to improve the lives of cancer patients and their families. We do this through prevention, treatment, and survivorship. I'd like to take you on a little bit of a journey of how the organization is structured and what we're looking forward to in the future, hand in hand with all cancer patients, their caregivers, and all others concerned with the issue of cancer. There is a problem to solve, the national burden of cancer. Over the years, we've seen a dramatic drop in cancer mortality, which is wonderful, but there's still quite a bit of work to do. There are approximately 1.9 million new cases of cancer that will be diagnosed, and approximately 600,000 deaths. In terms of new cases, the top cancer for males to be diagnosed will be prostate cancer. The top cancer diagnosed is breast cancer in females. When we switch down to mortality, in terms of deaths, lung cancer is number one for both men and women. Number two is colon cancer when you combine men and women. The other numbers are listed on this slide. Your American Cancer Society has a 3-part mission execution strategy, broken into 3 separate pillars. We serve over 5,000 communities around the country, and our 3 pillars include discovery, advocacy, and patient support. Our discovery pillar revolves around the research that is occurring around the country in which we fund. Currently, there are over $400 million in active grants which are delegated out to researchers. We fund beginning investigators in hopes that their bright ideas will open up the door for further treatment. Our patient support pillar has various mission support strategies, and on average, we touch over 55 million lives. Our advocacy pillar revolves around the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network, which is a sister organization to the American Cancer Society and has representation in all 50 states plus Puerto Rico. advances have not benefited everyone as it relates to cancer. Cancer disparities do exist. Examples of cancer disparities include lack of transportation, need for housing near cancer center, gaps in health and digital literacy, financial toxicity of cancer care, lack of access to coverage for cancer treatments, provider and health system unconscious bias. These cancer disparities reveal different mortality as it relates to several cancers, and we must face these disparities head on if we are able to gain success in trying to lower cancer mortality for all populations. The American Cancer Society has an overall 4-pillar structure, 3 pillars that relate to mission execution, and 1 pillar directly connected to mission resourcing. Our 3-part mission execution area involves advocacy, discovery, and patient support. Advocacy, once again, the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network, deals with local, state, and federal governmental entities and specifically focuses on public policy and how we could make sure the cancer patient is seen in the best of light and policies are passed to make their lives easier. Our patient support pillar is essentially direct patient support. It deals with prevention, screening, lodging, transportation, navigation, survivorship, and education. We have Hope Lodges around the country. We have offices around the country. We have locations that people could get information so that they could make good decisions about how they spend their time and how they deal with the diagnosis of cancer. Once again, we have representation and participation by over 500 communities around the country, and we touch the lives of over 55 million individuals. Our American Cancer Society goals over the next few years revolve around this overall strategic plan. We are in the midst of making sure these 4 areas are top of mind moving forward. Furthering the example around the greater Philadelphia area, we do have funding opportunities for our mission in our Northeast region. Our Northeast region includes all of the New England states, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, parts of Virginia, and DC. As it relates to our Northeast region, some of those funding priorities include our operating budget for Hope Lodges, our funding of transportation grants, our funding for road to recovery throughout the Northeast region, making sure that we cover some of our pay-if grants, which are grants that are deemed excellent, we just don't have the funds to cover them, and of course, screening programs throughout the entire region within populations that have certain disparities. Moving a bit forward as it relates to cancer screenings, the American Cancer Society has rolled out a nationwide Get Screened campaign. We are encouraging everyone that is due for a cancer screening to seek out those cancer screenings so that if a diagnosis is made, there's more opportunity for that diagnosis to be earlier, which is when treatment is much more effective. Our Get Screened campaign covers males, females, anyone and everyone that is due for a cancer screening. We do understand that during the COVID-19 pandemic, many folks sat on the sidelines rather than get their scheduled cancer screenings. We also understand many individuals did not have access to cancer screening opportunities, and the focus of these campaigns moving forward is to bring these populations into the fold and make sure they have the same access as all others. Our organization is on a new path for greatness, And we truly feel that our 4-pillar structure will make success so much more viable in the future. Thank you so much for your time listening. And if you do have any questions or any need for cancer information, please visit our website, cancer.org, or reach out to our 24 hours a day, 7-day-a-week toll-free number, 1-800-227-2345. Thank you for your time.
We really appreciate that wonderful presentation that was given by Mr. Jason Playa, as he is a director of the American Cancer Society in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. One key point that he brought to our attention is the cancer screening. It is imperative, family, that we get screened. Let us not be reactive, but let's be proactive. Let's do our due diligence in learning about our bodies and what we're up against. The Right Reverend Dunstan used to say that sometimes you don't know what's growing inside of you. And the fact is that we have the technology, the resources in order for us to learn more about what's happening on the inside. I'm begging you, please get screened, and because it's better for you to operate in the light rather than to operate in the dark. And I pray that as you are looking for more ways to improve your health, that you make that a part of your responsibility. I want to thank Mr. Playa for that wonderful presentation. It's very important and critical information that we can go back and take a look at the appropriate time. At this time, I'm going to ask that we would break for a commercial before we move on to our next presentation.
When I first saw the new Bay Health Sussex campus, I was in awe.
My first impression was, wow, we did this.
It kind of pops up on you right around the turn and commands the landscape.
My kids are in the car and they're always driving by and point it out and say, that's Dad's new place.
The truly exciting part is once you walk into the front doors and walk through the facility.
It's amazing. I actually cried walking through there.
We knew we had a unique opportunity to plan from the ground up, to do something very new, so it's a big deal.
The patient-first emphasis on every characteristic of that new hospital is really impressive. And when folks come here, they're going to see that.
I think that the environment that a patient receives treatment in is crucial to their overall prognosis and their recovery.
We'll be more efficient for our patients, so labs can come back better, the pharmacy comes back quicker, they get out quicker, because that's the whole idea. They want their treatment and they want to get back to life.
Even though it is a new environment, they'll be able to connect the old with the new, and I think that's a very positive thing.
One of the exciting things, of course, with this new facility is that it's a tremendous addition to Sussex County.
And I think it's appropriately named the Sussex campus because that is the community we're going to touch. We're going to truly put world-class healthcare as an option for the residents of the Eastern Shore, and that's quite an accomplishment.
That Bay Health campus represents the single largest private commercial investment in the history of Sussex County.
The $314 million in project costs are a reinvestment back into Delaware.
And it's benefited so many workers, so many companies, so many families. It has been quite an economic catalyst for the area.
Yeah, I think it was really forward-thinking for Bay Health to be able to design and build a building that you know is going to be good for 25, 50 years.
The employees are happy, they're more engaged, they're smiling, we're just ecstatic.
This new Sussex campus serves as the rock of our community going forward.
I'm proud to be a part of it.
The patients will go out in the community telling other people, you want to go to Bay Health.
more than 70,000 people die from drug abuse in a year. 7.5 million people need to work more than one job to make ends meet. Human trafficking is a $32 billion industry in the U.S. On a single night, over 500,000 people experience homelessness in the U.S. Together, with 60,000 corporate partners, over 8 million donors, and nearly 3 million volunteers, United Way is fighting for the health, education, and financial stability of every person in every community. Together, in a year, we deliver healthcare services and support to more than 3 million people, help over 1.3 million people get on the path to financial stability, provide out-of-school programs and individualized support to more than 2 million at-risk teens, and enable over 500,000 people to get back on their feet through job skills training. These are the faces of change. You can be one too.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you so very much. It is a privilege and honor for me to introduce to some and to present to others my very good friend, the Reverend Dr. Anthony Witherspoon, who is the esteemed pastor of the Washington Metropolitan African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church in St. Louis, Missouri. He's also the presiding elder of the Trinidad and Tobago District Conference. Not only that, but he also serves as president of the International Ministers and Lay Association of the African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church. This brother is on fire for the Lord, and he has been a champion for social justice. We are delighted to have him to share with us for just a few moments and to share some insight as it relates to systemic racism as a public health crisis in the United States, because it truly impacts Black and Brown communities. It is known that these ethnicities do not receive the same quality of health care as their white counterparts. And so Dr. Witherspoon is just going to share some nuggets with us as he talks about some of the health disparities. Dr. Witherspoon, thank you for being with us on today. Here's my question for you. How can the Black church mitigate these disparities that we find in our Black and Brown communities?
Well, thank you very much for that, Dr. Chandler. Good morning to each and every one of you. This is a very powerful question in that over the last 40 years of ministry, and of the 40 years of ministry, 34 years of pastoral ministry, I have witnessed firsthand what happens to our people when they don't have access to the appropriate healthcare opportunities in the world. And so, to answer your question, how can we mitigate this situation? The Black church, or as we call it, more specifically, Black and Brown people's churches, must be actively involved intentionally in the lives of people to include the various components of care, healthcare, mental health care, as we talk about disabilities and so on and so forth. But there has to be intentionality. There has to be included within the agenda of the church an intentional focus on making our people whole holistically. And to do so, that requires that a couple of things, if I may. Number one, that the leader of the church must be sincere about his or her own health care. Must be that example, that prime example, that although we may not always like to visit the doctor, it's a necessary thing that must happen in order so that we can be whole. Because how can you lead people where you're not going yourself? Secondly, included in the paradigm of that ministry there must be various components of health. Must have specialists come in and speak to our people, teach our people things that are necessary for our health care. And then thirdly, opportunities must be made so that our people can have access to the various healthcare components, the various health fairs, the various mammography vans, and the various teachings on diabetes, hypertension, all those things that ail us as a people. It ails us more so because the percentage is higher among Black and brown people than of our Caucasian counterparts. And we also know that many times in percentages, Black and brown people are more reluctant to seek out those things that would bring healing to us. And some of that is due to the lack of opportunities, first of all. Also, that is due to the lack of transparency. Is also due to the lack of funding. Even with the Affordable Health Care Act, which should have stabilized us, which should have put us on equal footing, African Americans or Black and brown people are less likely to receive adequate care because of the various medicines or the various professional agencies made available to us on a first-class level. And so the church has to be active in promoting the quality and equity of a people. The church has to be very active in promoting that this is the will of God, that we should prosper and be in good health. And the church must be serious in promoting what Psalm 103 and verse number 4 says. He redeems us. He redeems our life. And also in 3, he gives us healing of all diseases. And so I am in my church, I have doctors, of course, who are given the opportunity to share. And from time to time, I even ask them to tell us what is happening in medicine, what are the latest things that are happening in medicine. And so that includes substance abuse. That includes what we need to do as a people to reverse some of these things that are happening with us. So as a leader and as a church, as someone who is very serious about the lives of the people that we reach, we have to be intentional in making that happen for our people.
Wow, I appreciate that, Dr. Witherspoon. You touched on some very key points. You made mention that the leader has to lead by example, that if we expect our people to pursue wellness, then we must do it. We have to be the model for the people. You also stated that in your church, you have doctors, you have medical professionals. It is amazing that the church is a community of all walks of life. And what we have to do is tap into the resources that are already there in our churches, because health disparities is a reality. And we have individuals in our churches that can help us to educate our people and to provide the necessary resources so that everyone can do much better. I thank you so very much, Dr. Witherspoon, for what you have shared. It looks like we have a comment from Miss Melva Polk Wright. She says, what strategy or strategies have been most impactful to our Black and brown communities to improve access to adequate health care? Dr. Witherspoon?
Yeah, so we talk about strategies, we talk about resources, we talk about teamwork that must take place across our communities, and even in this, because we are black and brown does not mean that we don't team up with persons who don't look like us. You know, if there's one cancer of the body, then the entire body can be affected. And so therefore, in order to do this, it requires our being intentional about teaming up with other people, other resources. Listen, let's just face the fact. And we oftentimes look at the segregation of our communities, which oftentimes is purposed. It is strategized to be so that most of the benefits go to other communities. Well, we have to be able and willing to say to speak truth to power and say to others, you have some things we need. We know we have the resources in our community as relates to those who look like us, but we want to reach into the depths of what is happening there in our communities, whether that be in a black community or in a not so black community. And here's the other thing too: we have to engage our civic officials. We have to engage our mayors and our alderpersons, our state reps, and even our gubernatorial leadership, and say even on a city, state, and statewide level, that we have to bring all of our resources together for the good of our people, no matter what the color, but definitely as relates to black and brown people. And if we don't ask for it as black and brown people, people will not just give it to us.
So true, so true. And as we conclude this segment, Dr. Witherspoon, I really appreciated your commentary. It just makes me think about the fact that we are the solution to our problems. And that piece about engaging our civic leaders is critical. For too long, too many of us sit on the sideline and complain, but we will not get involved. We will not go to the town meetings. We don't go to the school board. We don't get involved as much as we should. And if we did get involved, then our voices could be heard and we can have partnership with these civic leaders, find resources, and be able to work together so that we can benefit the community. Thank you, Dr. Witherspoon, because you're one who champions the causes of the community. You're able to work with the governors and the lieutenant governors, the justices, and all of these different personalities in your area. And as a result, you've seen many, many benefits. Would you mind just for 1 minute touching on how these community partnerships help to resolve certain ills of the community?
Absolutely. So every leader, especially if you are a pastor, but one need not be a pastor as we talk about this, but definitely as a pastor, since I am a pastor, should be known by those persons who are in leadership in the community. When you walk in the room, they should know who you are. They should know what you stand for. They should know what and who you represent. And it should be very clear that that we're serious about that which we believe, that which we stand for. And persons should know that when you walk into the room, that from this discussion or from your presence in the room, there will be something positive that comes out of this discussion, even if it is a struggle to bring it to reality. And so I think that it is not to embarrass our culture. No. But it's because in our culture, we have been taught that if you want something, you have to stand up for it and get it and fight for the good of the order and fight for those people who cannot speak on their own behalf.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Witherspoon. I really appreciate your time on today. I know that you have a lot going on and you're very busy traveling across the United States and making a difference in people's lives. Thank you for sacrificing your time and sharing with us here at the HealthNut Virtual Conference. God bless you, sir.
Yep.
Family, at this time, I'm going to bring on another dear friend, Mr. David Morris, who is the Executive Director for Delaware American Heart Association, American Stroke Association. David Morris is the Executive Director for the American Heart, and he has been in his role since about 2018. Would that be correct, Mr. Morris? And
That's
he's
correct.
been heading up the American Heart Association efforts to fight heart disease and stroke in Delaware. Prior to joining the American Heart Association, David spent 10 years in various roles in development at the University of Delaware, as well as being able to lead development and alumni relations efforts at the Delaware Technical Community College. David knows his stuff, and he's going to be able to share with us some insight about the American Heart Association, as well as some best practices. At this time, let us receive Mr. David Morris. Thank you, sir, for sharing with us here at the HealthNut 2022 virtual conference.
Thanks, Pastor Chandler. I appreciate you. It is great to see you today. And it's great to see all these awesome folks here in the chat. I loved hearing the earlier presentations that we had regarding, especially, just our most recent speaker, the doctor, talking about, addressing inequities in health and really making sure that our voices are heard. It's really great. So what I'm going to lead everyone through today is just a little bit of an overview of the American Heart and Stroke Association that often gets lost on us. And then, we're going to talk also a little bit about some very simple steps that we can use to avoid cardiovascular disease and stroke. So if you could go to my next slide for me. Thank you. So who is the American Heart and Stroke Association? Chances are most of you out there know who we are and are familiar with us, but we were founded in 1924 by 6 cardiologists to address the almost unbelievable ignorance around heart disease. And you can tell then in 2024, we will actually be celebrating our 100th anniversary, our centennial anniversary. It's very important to note that in 1998, the American Heart Association merged with the American Stroke Association, which really often gets lost in terms of, the efforts that we are doing here because the Heart Association is so well known. Now today, the American Heart and Stroke Association, we have a presence in every single county across the United States. And we even have some around the world. Some are full-blown markets, I would say, like the state of Delaware. Some counties are just school programs like the Kids Heart Challenge. Most of you out there probably remember Jump Rope for Heart when you were younger, or maybe your kids are participating in the Kids Heart Challenge now because that touches hundreds of thousands of students around the country every year. Some are partnerships with EMS systems, health systems, and some are just focused on legislative or advocacy efforts, which again, our prior speakers talked a bit about, actually the prior couple speakers, which is great. You can move to the next slide for me. Thank you. So the state of Delaware, we have been a market, let's say, with full-blown effort here for about 70 years. We currently have 5 staff and several other shared positions that are regional and national. We have an executive director, that's me. We also have 3 frontline fundraisers, and I'll talk about what that means in a moment. We have 2 support staff, and then we have shared positions like community impact, consulting, IT, finance, legal, marketing. And I am pleased to announce that we just today hired a full-time community impact director here for the state of Delaware who will be working with a lot of the organizations on today's call. So I'm very excited about that, and I'm sure you'll be hearing from them and me soon. So looking forward to partnering with everybody. You can move to my next slide if that's okay. Thank you. So the why, and not to be a Davy Downer here, but heart disease remains the #1 cause of death around the world, in the United States, and right here in Delaware. In fact, cardiovascular disease takes more lives every day, than all forms of cancer combined. Now, stroke is the #2 cause of death around the world. It is #5 in the United States, but it's #3 here in the state of Delaware. We also here in Delaware have the 3rd worst mortality rate from stroke, meaning that, if somebody suffers a stroke, more than 47% of those folks are likely to have that as their cause of death. We are right in the middle of the stroke belt in terms of our mortality rates. It's Alabama, Mississippi, Delaware, Arkansas. I mean, something doesn't fit there, right? And we all have our own personal why I would be hard pressed to find anybody here on today's call who has not been impacted by heart disease and or stroke themselves or within their family or their loved ones. You go to the next slide for me, please. Thank you. So let's talk a little bit about Delaware. We are just not a healthy state. You guys know this, right? You see this every day. You are our leaders in the community. We're not eating the right foods. We are not getting enough exercise. We smoke too much. In fact, almost 1 in 5 Delawareans still consume traditional tobacco products, which is significantly higher than national averages. And we're not seeing our primary care physicians like we should. And all of this leads to higher rates of obesity, higher rates of hypertension, higher rates of diabetes, and all of this leads to cardiovascular disease and stroke. In fact, by our numbers, about 37% of Delawareans currently suffer from hypertension or high blood pressure. And I am one of those. I'm one of those folks. I'm part of the mission myself. But those are really just the ones that we know about. And we've really made it our mission to get out there in the local community and identify who exactly, what that true number is and how we can fight that. You can go to the next slide for me, please. So how do we fight this, right? How do we work together? How do we work with you to fight this? We look to do 5 main pillars of our work, and it's all about equitable health impact, which I know we've been hearing a lot about today. We look to change policy. The American Heart and Stroke Association, they do love the state of Delaware because we get things done. And I joke that we're the Cheers of states, and everybody knows everybody's name, but that's a good thing for us in terms of changing health policy. We lead breakthroughs in science and technology. We transform healthcare, we change systems, and we transform communities. And that's really huge for us. So, and that's really thanks to all of you. You can go to the next slide for me. So digging into this a little bit more, right? We are a research-based organization. It says here we invested close to $5 billion. We've actually just crossed that mark in terms of our history and investment in research. And that's how our biggest way of fighting cardiovascular disease and stroke. We've invested millions of dollars just in the last couple of years here in the state of Delaware in research. In fact, I was talking with some UD researchers this morning who've received funding from the American Heart and Stroke Association. And that, one we just awarded just recently around studying the link between kidney disease and heart disease. Folks that suffer from kidney disease are 3 times more likely actually to suffer from cardiovascular disease or stroke. But this is really all about the power of the volunteers. It's about you folks out there. In fact, this is really great. In 2021, the American Heart and Stroke Association had more than 40 million volunteers and champions and supporters. Here in Delaware, we had well over 10,000 volunteers, champions, and supporters. And that's how we fight this, right? We've got our board of directors, our event chairs, our leadership team members, physicians, and even kids. And you can see here, this is one of my favorite photos from the pandemic. These are my little girls, Harper and Alana. The American Heart and Stroke Association were on the forefront of COVID-19 research. And you can see here that my girls just surprised me in my home office one day saying that they were heart heroes. And their weapon against COVID-19 and cardiovascular disease was the power of the American Heart Association. And even my little one there's got her little hand sanitizer to fight COVID-19. So they're 2 champions and they love the Kids Heart Challenge. You can continue to the next slide for me. Thank you. So just a little bit about how you can help us. We have tons of volunteer opportunities, but please, we need all the champions. We are a volunteer-driven organization. If you can help us identify and, join one of our campaigns. You can help us on the day of an event. You can form a Heart Walk team. Those are coming up very soon. We have school partnerships. Let's get the schools, let's get the kids involved. Let's get them, fighting this fight at a young age, because it really is the whole family. In fact, I'll never forget, my kids came home one day from the Kids Heart Challenge kickoff at their school in Middletown. And they, I was making dinner and they said to me, "Hey, Dad, where's the color on our plate?" And I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" And they were like, "We need more fruit and vegetables on our plate at dinner." So, it takes the whole family to fight heart disease and stroke. You can also be an advocacy champion for us and support our community impact efforts. Next slide, please. So, a couple of things here just coming up. A couple of notes for you, everybody. If you're in the Newcastle County or the northern part of the state, October 9th, we have our Wilmington Heart Walk. There is no charge for that. It is a family fun event. Please come out and support us. It's a 3.1, a 5K walk. Some people run it, but we also have a survivor loop. And this is a great way to, recognize or honor those loved ones who have maybe passed or who are suffering from heart disease or stroke. And then if you're in the southern part of Delaware, we have our Southern Delaware Heart Walk at the Rehoboth Beach Bandstand on November 6th. Hope to see everybody out there this year. You can help us with a school partnership. As I mentioned, these are great resources for kids to get them active, to not smoke, to be kind, to eat the right foods. Visit heart.org, Kids Heart Challenge, or reach out to me. Or you can become an advocate for us. This is huge. This is how we change things. Like the doctor said prior to me, this is how we make change for the better here at the local, the state, and the national level. Or follow us on social media and just get involved at AHA Delaware on all sites. So next slide for me, please. Thank you. Okay. So now that I did our little story about the Heart and Stroke Association, I want to talk a little bit about how everyone here on this call and their loved ones and their friends and their colleagues can live a longer and healthier life just with a few simple steps. You can move to the next slide for me. So what if you had a guide to guarantee a longer life, to prevent heart disease and stroke, to feel stronger and healthier, or to provide a better quality of life as you live? I mean, this is, obviously everybody's shaking their heads yes, I hope out there. I can't see you all, but I'm guessing we're shaking our heads yes. Next slide. So heart disease and stroke, as I mentioned earlier, is the leading cause of death in the United States and around the world. But the good news is that 80% of cardiovascular disease and stroke can be prevented with just a simple lifestyle, with a few simple lifestyle changes. What's the other 20%? What's not modifiable? Is our age, our gender, our family history. Heart disease and stroke runs up and down my family tree. I consider myself a pretty healthy person. I exercise regularly. I try to eat the right foods, but I still suffer from hypertension or high blood pressure and just need a medication to help that. So again, that 20% is not modifiable. However, what is our cholesterol, blood pressure, physical activity, our weight, smoking, diabetes, and something new is getting more sleep. And I just think I don't know if everyone can see this little cartoon here, but I think this is really funny because everybody thinks that there's this magic pill that you can take to avoid heart disease or it's like aspirin. Everybody hears about the baby aspirin, right? And I just think this little comic is pretty funny here. It's between a man and his doctor. It says, to prevent a heart attack, take one aspirin every day. Take it for a run, take it to the gym, take it for a bike ride. So I just thought that was pretty funny. So next slide, please. So Life's Essential 8. This is actually hot off the presses here. It used to be Life's Simple 7, but we've now updated it to Life's Essential 8. There are 8 important factors for cardiovascular health, for health behaviors and for simple health factors. This really simplifies your cardiovascular health so you can understand it and manage it. And this isn't just for everybody here on the call today. This is for our loved ones, our family and friends and colleagues. Next slide, please. So this is really based on our latest research. We are constantly studying, what is that 80%? How can we avoid heart disease and stroke here in the United States and around the world? And we just recently updated this. This was rolled out in 2010, but the evidence actually has shown us that over the last 12 years that we've now added sleep as the 8th vital factor for a longer, healthier life. And there's also, I really think it's interesting. I really do think that, eventually this is going to become 9. I think that mental health and well-being is a tremendous part of cardiovascular disease and stroke. Stress is a very important piece of this. And I think that there are so many social and socioeconomic factors that impact cardiovascular disease and stroke. And in fact, those of diverse backgrounds and ethnicities actually are, and sometimes as high as 3 times as likely to suffer or pass from a cardiovascular event or a stroke. So next slide for me, please. So who's this for, right? Who's the 8 for? This works for everybody here, right? This is for consumers. This is for just our I call us normies, the non-healthcare professionals. It helps us focus on what behaviors we can do to make changes. But then this also, Life's Essential 8 is also very helpful for healthcare professionals because it gives them a better tool to assess and guide their patients towards better cardiovascular health. And I will tell you that, my primary care physician focuses quite heavily on this. And I don't think it's just because I have AHA on my business card. Next slide for me. So the 4 key health behaviors that we all want to think about here. These are, again, it's called Life's Essential 8. It used to be Life Simple 7. These are 4 things that we all can focus on to live a longer life free of cardiovascular disease or stroke. Not smoking, it's pretty obvious. It's a very modifiable behavior. Getting adequate sleep. This is something that us as Americans, and I think that our studies have shown that we've really fallen off, especially in times of the pandemic, is not getting the right sleep that we need. A healthy diet, as I mentioned earlier, if you can adhere to the DASH or even try to follow a Mediterranean diet, our studies have shown that significantly reduces cardiovascular disease or stroke. And physical activity. This is something that, we encourage folks to get 150 minutes or more. That's 30 minutes a day for 5 days. We've all got these great devices that are tracking our activity. Make sure you set that exercise goal to 30 minutes a day. And if you can hit that 5 days a week, you're on the right path. One tip that I would say about physical fitness and activity is do something you like. Find something that works for you that you enjoy. If you hate the treadmill, don't use the treadmill. If you really like swimming, try swimming, right? The other tip is because if you don't like it, you're just not going to stick with it, right? The other piece is try to get a buddy. I mean, that's really important. I know it sounds simple, but if you can have a buddy, it could even be your pet, taking the dog for walks and just extend them a little longer. Get that 30 minutes in a day, 5 days a week. It's really important, trust me. Next slide, please. So the 4 key health factors, these are the other half of the Life's Essential 8, right? Blood pressure. We've learned recently that controlling our blood pressure is actually the number 1 most impactful modifiable way to avoid an early death. High blood pressure is extremely prevalent, and it's called the silent killer for a reason. Make sure you're checking your blood pressure. Make sure you know your numbers. That's really the key with this slide here, right? Know your your cholesterol. That's very important. I know it's a pain when our doctors prescribes us to get that blood work done once a year, but I can't tell you how important this is because you need to identify, what your cholesterol is, also what your blood sugar is, which is on the far right there. This is really important to make sure that we're controlling our blood glucose. And then the last piece of it is maintaining a healthy weight. You want a body mass index of less than 25. You want to talk to your physician about this half of things and make sure that you're aware. If you think that you're hypertensive or even close to being hypertensive, it is important to identify that. Next slide for me, please. So why do we add sleep? I mentioned this before. Getting a good night's sleep is vital to cardiovascular health. It recharges your body. Poor sleep is linked to chronic conditions. It adds to obesity, coronary heart disease, and too much or too little sleep is directly related to heart disease. Adults, we are aiming for 7 to 8 hours. I know that sounds crazy, but we need to try to consistently reach that 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And obviously babies and kids need more depending on their age. So again, you want to really consider this. Next slide, please. Great. So good cardiovascular health, it can have barriers, right? This can be more difficult for some. We know that the cheapest foods are the worst kind for us, right? The cheapest are the worst. It can be hard to eat a healthy diet, or stress or time management can lead to less activity. It's also related to where we're born, we live, we work, we play, and we worship, and where we age. And there are historical environmental problems, and we've talked about this already today, like systemic racism that can limit or enhance someone's ability to achieve and maintain this lifestyle. In fact, just in the city of Wilmington, our studies have shown that just a few blocks over, life expectancy can be 20 plus years or higher difference. And that's really concerning. Next slide, please. So this is all interconnected, right? You know, the factors of your health can affect one or two, can be positive or negative. It's not just about good health for your heart. It's also good for overall health and well-being. One of the last things that I would just say here is, like, it may seem like a lot to be considering all 8 of these factors, but I would say, you know, if you can't do that, or we can't get a loved one to do that, at least if they can focus on 1 or 2 of them, it is going to make a tremendous difference in their lives. Next slide, please. And then just a couple of good resources for everybody out there. MLC.heart.org is your My Life Check. That is a free quiz to find out how you are doing in Life's Essential 8 and what type of a heart healthy life you are living. All this heart.org has some amazing information on this. Highly recommend. Very free. No charges for anything on there. Healthy lifestyle recipes, information on the diets I was talking about, physical fitness, and so on and so forth. And then obviously talk to your healthcare provider. It's really important to know your numbers. Make sure you're doing those primary care visits and doing the blood work and getting that checked, and you're going to live a longer life. I promise. And then the next, thank you. That's it. That's my last slide. Reverend Chandler.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Morris. I think that this has been such an informative presentation. And one key takeaway that I have is in regards to sleep. You said that a part of the Essential 8 is sleep. Sleep is very important because that's how our body recalibrates. That's how we are able to get rest and get refreshed, get renewed, so that we can tackle the next day. Having 2 hours is not enough. We need a lot more than that. All right. Many of us, we work, and I am, I'm guilty. I'm guilty for not getting enough sleep. Agreed. But if we can make it a practice. Mr. Morris, as I bring on my very good friend and visionary of this HealthNut, Adrian Howard, would you mind telling us what's the best or how much sleep should we get each night?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds crazy. We got to get at least 7 hours. We really do. I know it really is doing damage to our bodies and our heart and our vascular system by not doing that. And, you know, Reverend Chandler, Pastor Chandler, I'll tell you, you know, I'm same. I mean, even last night, I think I did 6.5 hours. That's just not enough. You know, we really need to, like, I need to put it into practice that I'm shutting it down at 11 or 10, whatever time it is for everybody, you know, got to get it shut down and put those phones away too. Right. I mean, that's the big thing, right? We're checking those phones in the night. We're looking at them right before we go to bed. We're looking at them first thing in the morning. I mean, let's maybe leave them in the kitchen, something like that. Right.
Yes, I totally understand. We got my main man, 50 grand, the visionary of this HealthNut conference, Mr. Adrian Howard, who is now on with us. And I believe he had a question that he wanted to raise to you, Mr. Morris. Mr. Howard, how you doing, bro?
I'm great. This is such a beautiful event, and I'm thankful, Mr. Morris, and I'm thankful to you, Dr. Chandler, for all your efforts and all the people who spoke before. I am thrilled, and this information is reaching so many people and can be so helpful. I was sitting here processing, and I definitely believe the Heart Association is very, very vital. You know, it's one of the people that I first thought in my heart to reach out to get information to as I dealt with situations in my own life. Now, I remember, I think I was 19 years old and in New York and Long Island. And And I was doing so much, promoting and putting on events at such a young age and going to college. I got married at 19. I was doing so much. And I remember feeling very, very different. And I could feel different things running through like where my heart would be. And I remember getting these shocks in my nerves and all kind of stuff. And I went to the doctor and in the hospital, and it was funny because speaking of disparities, I sat there, and this is a very, very great hospital. I love it. But I sat there all day for like 10, 15 hours in the emergency room because I guess whatever I wrote down didn't sound important enough. And but finally I got inside, and then the doctor, who was very, very caring, he said, well, tell me about your stuff. And I was telling him all the things that I do. And plus I work 2 part-time jobs as well as have my own businesses and so forth. And he's like, son, you're doing too much. You're doing too much. You're suffering from stress. That could give you a heart attack or a stroke.
Yeah.
You're doing too much. And so it makes me think as I'm listening to it now, and it took me a while to process that. And it took me a while to figure out how to put things back in order, because once you build that habit of a go, 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 do, and in my life where I'm from Hempstead, New York, and it has a lot of challenges there in the community. And I just wanted to really help the community. And I'm like, I got to do so much because I felt like not enough people were doing enough. And so I didn't know how to turn that motor off. So when I'm listening to you now speak about this, and I'm thrilled, I was still thrilled last year, and now we added another essential. I'm thrilled this year. And I'm sitting here saying, how does one work to put these things in order? I realized over my life that there wasn't an order that I should prescribe to, like a schedule. How do I do it if you're faced with so many challenges, and people in the poor communities, no matter what ethnicity, or if we're talking about the Black and brown communities, they're working 2 and 3 jobs. They have other financial stresses or whatever it is. How do you put that stuff together to work to reduce the stress, or not compound it with smoking or vaping now, or all of this? So that's my real question to you, is what advice would you give to someone who feels like they're overwhelmed?
Yeah, that's a great question, right? And we thank you for sharing your story too. And we are hearing more and more young people are suffering from heart disease and stroke. And I think you're onto something there with the stress level, the amount you're removing. I guarantee you weren't sleeping 7 hours a night. You probably had no idea what your blood pressure was, or what your blood sugar or cholesterol were. I don't want to rank these things, right? The essential 8, because we are busy people. Everybody's busier than they've ever been before. However, I would say if there is one thing, if people, first of all, I'm going to go back to this. If you can just focus on 1 or 2, can't even do all 8. You can focus on 1 or 2 of these. You say, maybe I'm going to get a little bit more sleep every night, or I'm going to know my numbers, or I'm going to try to get out for that walk, or I'm going to eat more fruits and vegetables. Just a couple of them is going to help, even if they can't do all 8, right? The other piece of this, I would say, is get your blood pressure checked. Like, honestly, so many Delawareans or people around the country have no idea what their numbers are.
Yes.
And it might not even be that full step to find out what your blood sugar is, there's a lot of undiagnosed diabetes out there as well. But the hypertension piece is huge. I can tell you guys, I was on a crash course to die at my desk in my home office, because I had undiagnosed hypertension. It's the silent killer for a reason. I had no idea. Maybe I was just getting little headaches every day. But I thought that was due to not drinking enough coffee or something in the afternoon. And honestly, my numbers were shocking. And I was on pace for a heart attack or a stroke. I mean, imagine that the executive director of the Heart Association dies of a heart attack at his desk working. You know, I mean, that's not going to pass the front page of the New York Times or whatever. I mean, like, know your numbers, get out there. Even if you're just at like the Walgreens or CVS picking up a prescription or, you know, some whatever you're getting there, you know, stop at that little kiosk, check it, go see the primary care physician, folks. I mean, I hope that we, you know, have the ability to do that, but know your numbers, because this thing is a silent killer and it's doing damage on our bodies on the inside. I can guarantee you, Adrian, you had probably your blood pressure is probably through the roof, you know, when you were 19 even. So, yeah.
You know, it's interesting, Mr. Morris, you look healthy. You look healthy.
Yeah.
And what you're telling us is that you were not healthy.
No. And all it took was like a little pill. And I'm telling you guys, within like a day, within one day, I was to 120 over 80. Wow. And like my numbers were almost double that, you know? So, yeah, you're right.
Well, you know,
RJ.
For everyone who's watching this, just because when you look in the mirror, you look healthy, doesn't mean that you are healthy.
Yeah.
As Mr. Morris has stated, know your numbers. Thank you, Mr. Morris, for this wonderful presentation. Thank you, Brother Howard. I'm going to be bringing you back in just a few moments. Family, I have to ask, as many of you know, we are running this conference to educate our Black and Brown communities, but everyone as a whole, but we're also raising funds. We're also asking for you to partner with us as we feed the community, as we clothe the community, as we provide shelter for the community. It goes back to that scripture in Matthew 25 that I had shared at the beginning of this conference. We are about the work of Christ. And I believe that the church is part of the solution to the ills of the community. Would you be kind enough to sow into this fertile ground, sow into the Feeding Families Food Relief Program by just giving $10? You can use the Cash App, grab your phone, scan the QR code, and sow $10 or more as we are doing our very best to make a difference in the community. Thank you so very much in advance for your contributions. Thank you so very much. At this time, my family, I'm going to call upon my very good friend, Miss Asia Bello. She sung beautifully earlier, and we're going to have another musical song of inspiration. And following that, we will have a brief commercial of the Boots on the Grounds initiative of the Kent County Coalition that's in partnership with the United Way of Delaware. Let's receive Miss Asia Bello.
Hallelujah, I want to turn it up real quick. Come on, right where you are, put your hands together like this. We're going to have some fun today. Song says, you make the blind man see, make the lame man walk again. You cause the dead to rise. And that's why we dance in liberty, cause you're doing it all again. Come on, if you know this song, sing it right where you are. Oh, cause you're doing it all again. Oh, 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 oh. Lift that up with me. Make the lame man walk. You call the dead to rise. Come on, say that's why we dance. Hey, cause you're doing it all again. Oh, oh, oh. Lift it up, say, cause you. Oh, oh. Hey, yo. Oh. Come on, say that right where you are. Oh. I like this part right here. It says, you're still saving. It's the same God, yeah, still healing. He's the same God. Oh, He's a chain breaking God. Woo! He's the same God. Now come on and lift up this praise with me. Say, if you believe it, this is your chance. This is your time. Say, cause you're doing it all again. Oh, come on, say you're never changing, God. You stay the same, yeah. And you're never ending, Jesus. Say, come on, lift this praise up with me. Say, never ending, God. Come on and lift it up. And that's why we call you Jesus. We call you holy, yeah. Yes, you are Jesus. Whoa. And you're my redeemer. Yes, you are my redeemer, God, yeah. And you're providing for me, Jesus. Oh, you keep doing it. You keep doing it over and over. Over and over and over. Over and over and over. Come on, anybody grateful about it? Say, you keep making ways for me when I can't see it for myself. You keep doing it all again, Jesus. Yeah, you're doing it all again. Hallelujah.
I did my part to keep my family safe.
I did my part to keep my family safe.
I did my part so that we can get together with our family.
I did my part in keeping kids at my school safe.
Hola, estoy aquí porque quiero mantener segura a mi familia. Hello, I'm here because I keep the safe my family.
Hello, I've done my part to keep my family and my church very safe.
Hi, I'm Lady Michelle, and I did my part.
Hello, I'm Dr. R.J. Chandler, the pastor of Transformation EME Zion Church in Dover, Delaware, and I did my part.
Hi, I'm Dr. Taquina Warren, owner of Focus Pharmacy in Smyrna, Delaware, and I'm still doing my part.
Hi, I'm Reverend Vita Mission Page, pastor of New Beginnings Community AME Church in Frederica, Delaware, and we represent the Kid Health Coalition and Choose a Healthy Life. And we have done our part by getting ourselves vaccinated, even with our boosters. And we wish you a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Holidays. And to enjoy our families, we want you to do your part by getting your vaccinations. God bless you.
Segment. We are ready for our last segment of this day one HealthNut 2022 virtual conference. And I am so pleased to have so many individuals who are going to be a part of this roundtable discussion as we talk about some of the health disparities, COVID-19, and some other topics for the next few moments. At this time, I'm going to ask that our producer, DK of the Star of Zion, and I want to give him a shout out. Thank you so very much, man. You are making this a reality, this dream a reality, and I appreciate all that you've done to move this smoothly so that we could have some awesome teaching and information shared on this morning. For those that are going to be joining me at this time, all of our various personalities of the roundtable, I'm going to ask that they would introduce themselves as they prepare to come onto the screen. And we have a list of different personalities that will be joining us at this time. We got Dr. J, we got Dr. Gwendolyn Scott Jones, and we got Brother Adrian Howard. We have some more. Oh my goodness, Miss Shanika Wright, and we still got a few more folks. We got Marquia Marsh, okay, and we got Taquina, Dr. Taquina Warren, who is actually one of our sponsors of Focus Pharmacy out of Smyrna, Delaware. And we have Zariah Ferbert, also a part of the DSU community. I'm going to ask if we could go around in a round robin style. We'll go to Dr. J, then to Dr. Scott Jones, then to Miss Marsh, Miss Wright, Brother Howard, Dr. Warren, and then Miss Ferbert. If you could just tell us a little bit about yourselves, and then I'm going to share with everyone how this roundtable is going to move forward. Dr. Jones?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm the Reverend Dr. Geraldine J. Johnson Jones, a graduate, received my undergraduate degree from Delaware State College, and I'm a member of Transformation AME Zion Church. So I'm happy to be here with everyone this morning, and we look forward to a great discussion.
Hi, once again, I'm Dr. Gwendolyn Scott Jones, the Dean for the Wesley College of Health and Behavioral Sciences, and I'm pleased to be a part of this roundtable. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Marquia March, and I'm currently a senior at DSU.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shanika Wright. I'm a student at the DSU pre-nursing.
Hi, I'm Adrian Howard. I'm a member of Transformation AME Zion Church in Dover, Delaware, and I'm the visionary and creator of this conference, but most of all, a man of God, father, and a husband.
Amen. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Reverend Chandler, for that little introduction there. I appreciate that. My name is Dr. Taquina Warren, affectionately known as Dr. T. I am the proud owner and operator of Focus Pharmacy, an independent pharmacy located in the beautiful metropolis of Smyrna, Delaware. I am a graduate of Fisk University and Howard University, and I'm very, very excited to be on this panel with you all wonderful people on today.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Zaria Ferbert. I am a third-year public health student at Delaware State.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Fanta Sala, and I'm a senior of Delaware State. My major is psychology.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much, everyone, for introducing yourselves to the large number of people who are watching right now from all over the United States. This is so cool to see you on virtually. We're going to have a roundtable discussion, and we're going to talk about multiple topics. And so I just simply want you to share from your own experience. I will call on you to share your thoughts and at the appropriate time, because we want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to share. I got to start with Dr. Taquina Warren. She and I have worked together with Boots on the Ground initiative. Our leader is the Reverend Rita Page, and Dr. Warren has vaccinated a lot of people in the state of Delaware, and we're not finished, not yet. We still got a lot of work to do. Dr. Warren, you know, with your expertise and all that you have been able to do with this initiative, can you share your thoughts about where you think the future lies for all of us, and how we can better prepare ourselves to make sure that we are vaccinated and that we can look out for our neighbors, our family, as well as ourselves? Dr. Warren?
Yes, Reverend Chandler. The future is bright. I'm very optimistic about that. COVID, this pandemic has really exposed a lot about not only our healthcare system, but it really exposed a lot about ourselves as far as where we feel our health is, putting more into ourselves, pouring into ourselves and our health, because you yourself is your best advocate. And so I'm excited about what is to come because now we are seeing where the opportunity lies as far as health and the disparities. We need to do a better part, me, even as a healthcare provider, do a better part in tapping into the underserved, being able to provide the resources that are needed. A lot of times people don't know what they need. So we have to be able to go to them and be able to provide the access that is needed. So I'm excited about what's to come only because that's just me. That's just me. I'm always wanting to help people. So at the end of the day, I know that there's a lot of people, like you said, we have a lot of work cut out for us. The vaccinations and the hesitancy behind it was a huge challenge. And as the word gets out more about vaccines and being immunized, we'll be able to see a better outlook as far as our health.
Thank you, Dr. Warren. I appreciate your commentary on that. I got a question for Miss Shanika Wright. Are you ready? Here is the question. Who should be held accountable and responsible for healthcare in Black and Brown communities? Who should be held accountable and responsible for healthcare in Black and Brown communities?
To be honest, I'm going to say us, Black people, we are held accountable. I can't put that blame on anyone else. It's on us to make that decision to get vaccinated. And it's very important because without vaccination, things like COVID and everything that is going on, it's just gonna just happen that other people are gonna get sick. Not other people, mostly kids. There are kids out there that really have parents that don't even know and don't want to do it for various reasons. So I think the onus is on us to do the right thing.
Yes, yes. I appreciate that answer that you gave because at the end of the day, we make our own decisions and we can't just simply blame other people. We cannot do that. We are better than that and we can do better. We can eat better, but we can also make sure that just like Mr. Morris said, check our numbers. Just like Mr. Morris said, we can find out where we stand health-wise. Thank you very much, Ms. Wright, for that statement. Dr. Jones, you've also been very active in the community. My goodness, you're here, there, and everywhere, getting people vaccinated and boosted and organizing and strategizing. I believe that you're a part of the Lieutenant Governor's clergy call, and you're just very active. Can you share some of your insight? What are you seeing out there in the community? What is the hesitancy that you are seeing in the community, and what do you think we can do to mitigate the hesitancy of our brothers and our sisters?
Well, you know, this morning it hit me like a lead balloon as to why this topic is so very important. And I recognize, because my body says to me, if you think you can go out in that street without me, then you just go on. But all of us, we're talking about the issues from the top of our head to the bottom of our feet. And I recognize this is an important issue but people don't understand that their body, what this vessel is, and the importance of it. It says, I didn't make myself, but I can recognize that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. And that's found in Psalm 139:14. And do something about preserving the gift from on high. Many people don't understand the beauty of what this is, this body, this temple. When I think of it, I get overwhelmed to know how important this body is. Both my parents suffered fatal heart attacks, and as well as my middle sister. So it is important that we are one body and many members, and these members do not have the same function. And we have to, according to Romans 12:46, take care of it. We have a part to play in taking care of our body and our temple and our gift. My friends laugh at me. They tease me for eating tofu and these vegan cheesecake and refuse for me to share these things with them. But I like my body. I like myself. I'm grateful that I was given this temple, that I was given this to keep for a while, to preserve for the one on high who made it for me. And folk don't seem to understand the importance, that they're eating our way to demise, eating our way to death. I'm amazed and thankful and grateful for this gift that was created for me in the image of the Almighty. And then my questions of self-reflections are, should I not take care of what I have been allowed to occupy? A vessel of high esteem. Many people, they don't see this. This is beautiful. This body that was given us to share is a beautiful vessel. And if people understand that, then we would do more to protect it and to take care of it.
Wow. Thank you so very kindly, Dr. Jones. Well said. And I'm so pleased that the Reverend Rita Michoud Page is now with us, the pastor of New Dimensions Community AME Church in Frederica, Delaware. And one thing about that Reverend Page, she knows how to get the job done. I've been privileged to serve with her on her team, on the Boots on the Ground team. And from her efforts, as she has led us, we've been able to vaccinate over 14,000 people in the state of Delaware. Come on, somebody need to put their hands together. That's educating people, getting people vaccinated, getting them to these testing sites and vaccination sites. Reverend Page, you are doing the doggone thing. And I would be remiss if I didn't have you give us some greetings, share your thoughts, and tell us about how we can continue to move forward. Reverend Page?
Well, I want to first say good morning to everyone who has been attending this HealthNut and to all of the panelists. And thank God for you and Mr. Adrian Howard, the visionary, for doing such a fine job, excellent job in putting this together. It has been a challenge, but you are correct. We have vaccinated 14,014 people, let me say, in Kent County, just in Kent County. And that's where we operate, the Kent Coalition for Vaccine Equity. And we wouldn't be able to do it without our pharmacists, such as Dr. Tequina, Walker Warren, and the independent pharmacists in the Delaware Pharmaceutical Association. And so I really take my hats off to all of them. And to our boots on the ground team, who have just been phenomenal in doing the outreach and being available to help process the applications. We're learning from the pharmacists as we're out there in the community as well. You asked about the hesitancy. You asked Dr. Jones about the hesitancy. What is it's very disappointing. It really is to hear some of the things that people are saying, but we can understand some of it. I was saying yesterday on a meeting with the COVID shots. We don't know how many we have to take. There are a lot of unanswered questions. But when you go to get your hepatitis series, you go to get your shingles shots, how many shots you're gonna have to get in advance. Or you can ask the question if you don't know before you get and get a solid answer. But when it comes to the COVID vaccines, we don't know. And so I think people are getting COVID fatigue, with having to take vaccines. And that has been a lot of the hesitancy. Because like now, okay, well, you said we only needed one, then here came another one, then 2 boosters, and now the bivalent booster. We're hearing that people don't see the need to get vaccinated because of the fact that people who have been fully vaccinated and updated, and when I say that, fully vaccinated is the first two vaccines that we got, first 2 shots. The updated are the other 2 boosters that we got. That's fully vaccinated and updated. And so now you're saying you want me to take this bivalent. And so they're saying the people are still getting COVID after having been fully vaccinated and updated. Well, yes, they are, because what they don't understand is that the bivalent that we have to take now is what's giving us the protection against the variants that are out, the Omicron and the BA variants. All they know is people are vaccinated and still getting sick. So there's hesitancy because of that. Then you still have people concerned about getting pregnant, not being able to get pregnant if they take the vaccine. That's a lot of what we're hearing. And I do want to say, Reverend Chandler, that we're not just hearing the hesitancy from the Black and brown communities, we're also hearing it from the white communities as well. And every time I ask, well, what is your hesitancy? I'm listening to hear if the white hesitancy is going to be any different than the Black and brown hesitancy. And overall, no, it's not. They're all pretty much saying the same thing. So, and moving, you asked about moving forward. Moving forward, I think that those of us who are out, the Kent Coalition, the Sussex Coalition, Newcastle County Coalition, those of us who are out there, boots on the ground, trying to lead these efforts and getting people vaccinated, that we, first of all, are going to have to stay up on our knowledge of the vaccines, okay, and know the efficacy, know why people need to get vaccinated, and be able to relay that without condemning people who don't want to get vaccinated, without being judgmental. We just have to meet people where they are and give them the facts, just like we do when we're preaching. We tell people what the word, we preach the word, and let the Holy Spirit do the convicting. So we have to help do some of the teaching, and then just pray that people will receive what we're saying and go ahead and get vaccinated. There's some we're not going to reach. We know that. And when you do that, like I said yesterday, you just shake the dust and keep on moving, because we planted the seed Now may not be their time, and move on to somebody who will receive what we're saying. But we have to stay educated and keep pushing and not get discouraged.
See if I got a hand raised.
I appreciate that, Dr. Page. I believe it was Dr. Priscilla Pazzi who said that these various shots that we're taking is very similar to that of you driving a vehicle. When you drive a vehicle, you have what is called an airbag that will be deployed in case of an accident. But before that airbag is deployed, you got to put on your seat belt. And having one layer of protection is just not good enough, but having multiple layers of protection to save your life. It doesn't mean that you're not going to have an accident, but your chances of surviving the accident are greater if you wear your seatbelt and if you will allow that airbag to deploy. Well, the same is true with these vaccinations. And you said it, we don't know how many vaccinations that we're going to need to get. And that's why it's important that everyone do their research. We must do our research, and everything, we can find it online. Go to Google University and you can look up this information. You can talk with certain doctors, such as Dr. Taquina Warren, who is on fire. She has a powerful, wonderful pharmacy called Focus Pharmacy in Smyrna, Delaware, and she's ready and willing to have an intelligent conversation with you. And there are other medical professionals who are part of this HealthNut who will tell you the same thing that the Reverend Rita Page has shared with us. It's important to get the information, but it's also important.
We have to stay transparent.
Yes, it's also important that we stay transparent.
There was not enough transparency from the very beginning, from the former president down. So we have to make sure that we are staying transparent.
I appreciate that. I have a question for Dr. Gwendolyn Scott Jones, and then I'm going to ask that Ms. Ferbert would respond after Dr. Scott Jones, and after Ms. Ferbert, if Ms. Fareed would respond after her. And here's the question. What is the state of healthcare in relation to race? What is the state of healthcare in relation to race? And you can even add to that, Dr. Scott Jones, what is DSU doing about it?
Well, the state of healthcare, as opinioned by me, I don't have the statistics here in front of me, but by just taking a look at what we're dealing with and reviewing and just through some of my own research, is that we're going to have to get on the ball. There's a call of action, and this is why at Delaware State University, we're being very deliberate in the Wesley College of Health and Behavioral Sciences with our program offerings. We need to train more BIPOC students, Black, Indigenous, people of color, to perform in the healthcare arena and the space. We have advocated for some of the standardized tests that they would have to pass for them to have much more of a practical component. And I do believe in a lot of the professions that they're now looking at changing their approach to testing. As you know, Dr. Chandler, historically, a lot of times students may not make the cut because a test would be indicative of their abilities to go out and practice. So many of the professions are looking at their standardized tests and adding more cultural relativity to those particular tests. For example, we're training students here at Delaware State University in the nursing department how to approach their NCLEX exam. Well, we had to retool and get geared up because they changed the test so that the test has much more of a practical component to it, which it will speak to cultural relativity. So, another thing that we would need to do is, educate and make sure that people are highly aware of their place in these professions. I was speaking with also right down to EMS, Emergency Management Services. We're researching that space to see why many African Americans or people of color who are not first responders, especially in our community, because it could actually help and give people a better understanding and develop more comfort around that. So we're researching here about that as well. So we're just looking to educate our students and the population so that they can find a place in the healthcare profession. But we're in a state where we're going to have to also have a call to action to make sure that we're advocating for the people of color to be attracted to these specific disciplines, and also make sure that we work with the healthcare professions, as well as the individuals like our regional hospitals or medical schools, to see what's required for our students to make sure that they're getting in, so that they're not marginalized to get in some of these spaces, so that they can actually be medical doctors, be psychologists, be psychiatrists. So, we're doing a lot of that. We're partnering with people. We're sitting at boards, on the boards of some of these healthcare professional meetings to make sure that we have a voice in this as well. I don't want to take any more time, Dr. Chandler, because I like for our students to weigh in as well. I'm so pleased that they're here.
So good to have them.
I appreciate that, Dr. Scott Jones. What you said is pivotal. And before I bring on Ms. Ferbert, I need to say this. When I met with Mr. Terry Murphy, he told me that there is a lack of Black and brown doctors and nurses. There's a lack. Oh my gosh, I didn't know this.
Yes.
And so for Delaware State to be at the forefront of training, equipping, educating our people of color so that they can move into these positions is great and is phenomenal. We need it. And I hope that, Delaware State has the connection with many of the high schools in the state of Delaware, like Polytech or Caesar Rodney, Dover High School, that have these different health programs so that, they can continue their education at DSU. I can tell you, as I also work for Delaware Technical Community College. And as such, we have those pathways that are in place with students from the high schools. And, we have to reach all the way down to the middle schools and elementary schools so that we can encourage them that this pathway that Dr. DeQuina Warren is on, this pathway that Dr. Scott Jones is on, this pathway that Ms. Ferbert is on, is available for them as well. Thank you so very much. Ms. Ferbert, can you weigh in?
Historically, Black people of color have been misdiagnosed in the community of healthcare. And us at DSU, we have many STEM students and nursing majors who want to become doctors and they want to be nurses, but it's all coming down to the financial side of them not being able to afford medical school compared to our peers. So as someone who wants to be a doctor and my peers and friends, we are excited to go into the healthcare community and make a change, because at the end of the day, we can't make a change if we aren't the change. So you realize a lot of nursing students at Delaware State are passionate and want to. So I think what needs to be mentioned is the Inspire Scholarship for the state of Delaware. Honestly, that has been a big change. And many of my friends who are from Delaware are excited to make a change at Bay Health, Christiana Care, and I feel like we have to support us as students, because at the end of the day, we can't help our community if our community isn't supporting us. So thank you very much.
Madam, that will preach. That will preach. We've got to support our students. Did you all know that it was the Black church that created schools? When Massa would not allow us to read books. We had to teach ourselves how to read books. We created our various schools and places so that we could educate our people. We were able to raise funds. And then guess what? I think that this is what the church ought to be about anyway. As a member of the African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church, we champion the fact that we invest financially into the education of our young people. And as Ms. Ferbert said, she wants to be a doctor, but many times those of color don't have the funds or the resources in order for them to be able to compete. We got to pull the money. We got to pull our resources. The Black church is a multi-billion organization. Are you hearing what I'm saying? We raise money and we need to work together. All churches can work together so that we can educate our young people and move them into these fields where they will be able to deal with the various disparities in our Black and brown communities. Ms. Fareed, can you weigh in?
Yes, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm kind of going to piggyback off of what Ms. Is it Ferber said? I like how she said how Black people really don't have, like the right resources. I think that's the main issue as to why, you don't see many Black doctors. As a little kid, you can say like, oh, I want to be a doctor, and nobody would take you serious and make you even, push yourself to get into that field or have that confidence to believe in yourself that you can be a doctor. So I feel as though being low on resources, it kind of defeats the purpose of our confidence to want to be in the medical field and say, oh, I did this. So.
Wow. Thank you so very kindly. I really appreciate your feedback on that subject matter. And Ms. Fanta Silla, I'm going to ask that you would also share at this time if you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, hello. Good morning, everybody. So for me, I think is like what Ms. First said. For me, I'm from Africa, so back home we always said, my parents always said, you have to be a doctor, you have to be this, you have to be that. So as an African student, I understand because my parents push us to do something for ourselves because there's a many black doctors, not many too much, but there's many Black doctors. So in Africa, I see many Black African doctors. So when you come here in the United States, you don't see them too much. So my parents always say you have to be a doctor. So it always have the conscience that I don't see too much Black doctors, but they always say you have to be someone that your community have to be like, you have to be important in your community.
Yes. Thank you so very much. Well said. And what part of Africa are you from?
Oh, sorry. I'm from West Africa, Sierra Leone.
Wow. That is so cool. That's wonderful.
Dr. Chandler. Yes,
Dr.
I
Jones,
wanted to just say that I just wanted to say that I hope that our colleges and universities will begin to give to our freshmen orientation things about health, things about who we are, things about what we need to do physically and mentally to cope with some of these things. We can do that in our freshman orientation classes and help our young people. And another focus that I hope, Mr. Howard, that we'll do next year, since I'm a retired individual, is that we'll look at senior health.
Yes.
Yeah, we will definitely do that. And that's a good segue. I would like Mr. Howard to chime in as well as give us some final reflections because our time is spent and we've had a wonderful, wonderful roundtable discussion on some very important issues. I thoroughly enjoyed everyone's commentary, but I got to be honest, I've really enjoyed the students that provided such rich thought about what we need to do and what we need to tackle. as it relates to providing resources for them so that they can continue to better themselves. When we invest in them, we are investing in ourselves. Brother Howard, please share with us some thoughts, some remarks, and then I'll close out with a word of prayer.
Yes. Now, please help me to be disciplined in this area because it's so much. My heart is so filled with so many things to say. It's filled with joy and to see all that everyone is doing and saying. So, Dr. Chandler, don't hesitate to shut me down when you're necessary. Well, Dr. Jones, is passionate. One of my big things that I want to work on is senior care. I've been mentioning it slightly, and I'm passionate. If my mother was alive, she'd be a senior right now, and she's always taught me to be mindful of my elders. And she would always say, one day you have to take care of me if necessary. I'm taking care of you, and then you have to return it back to me when I'm not able to do so. And so I just want to be able to mention this one thing about seniors, and which I hope to get this word out. There's this thing that I've come to find out that our seniors, especially in our communities, don't know about. So usually when people retire, their income usually, if they're working class, they get Social Security, and they're a lot of times relegated to their pensions and their Social Security income, and that's like a set income every month. If they don't have something else coming in, and out of Social Security, their Medicare is being taken from their Social Security, a monthly premium. But what my mother showed me, as her birthday is coming up on the 25th here, is when she was a senior, she went to go get the money back that they take out for the premium for Medicare. And so when I had to go on disability because of diabetes and so forth, and losing my eyesight, now regained them back, but I had to work to find out, how did my mother do that, as she helped me do it with her, like she had me do the work with her, but for myself, I found it a little challenging. So as I researched, which is a word that we use throughout this conference, I found that this term called Qualified Medical Beneficiaries, or QMB, that is the program that is designed for your Medicaid, which is like through social services in your local county, will pay back the premium that is taken from your Social Security for Medicare. For all the areas that we talked about, there were connecting financial responsibilities to it. And we need to know and teach others about this QMB, or research it, Google it, spread the word, because you might have somebody that's on disability, or you might have somebody that's getting Social Security, and that extra income may help them. You wouldn't believe how many seniors are relegated to not being able to get enough food in their household. Some people even eat cat food and dog food. I just want to pivot from that. I want to thank these college students. You make my heart jump for joy, because you're passionate, you're here, you're doing something, and they put out a call for action. They said we need the resources. Now, this church that I was born in and raised in, I was born and raised in Jackson Memorial AME Zion Church in Hempstead, New York, and now I'm at Transformation. They raised us to look out for our community. They raised us to look out for the students. They've helped me out as a student. One thing about this church and most Black churches, they give out money to support. But through the years, we might not have all the connections to all the people that are in need. And I would like us to take the time, if you reach out to some of the people who are part of this event, support some of these students that are on here, or go to the local college and ask, how can I put up a scholarship? Even if it's $100. It will help everyone who's in need. We have to keep building the capacity to give and support. Do you know in the AME church, their Sunday school helped supported the young lady who helped them get to the moon in 1960. One of those, they had the movie out. I forget what the movie is called, but the three young ladies who worked together to get the first man on the moon. One of them was given a scholarship out of the Sunday school of an AME church. Come on now. We have to think, and we have to be willing to be active. Sometimes you just have to go outside in your community, and as you see young people making their way or even making mistakes, be willing to stop and talk to them. It makes young people very happy if you have a vested interest in them. They may listen to you. If they don't listen to you, they may run by me. I may say something. They don't listen to me, they may run by Dr. Chandler, and so on. We have to press forward. Everyone can play a role in helping further our goals. Last thing I want to say for today, I'll be back tomorrow, but last thing I want to say is that I'm not so sure how many, I know we have colleges in our church, and we have colleges and schools in Africa as well. But how many hospitals do we have? How many hospitals have we built? How many clinics have we built? That should be an initiative that we should go to. And therefore, we can hire or let interns be a part that are from the Black and brown community. And it just takes some heart. It takes groups like this, panelists, to just strike up the conversation and for someone to hear it and agree, touch and agree. And of course, prayer always works. God will never let this stuff go in vain. And we can start building clinics and hospitals. So I hope that reaches and touches everyone. I'm thankful for everybody that's been on here. Support our pharmacy in Smyrna. That delights me so much. And let's be mindful. Let's be dedicated. And let's heed to the call of action. Help our students out. Be blessed, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. I tell you, this has been a rich time that we've spent together. I got to give a shout out to Wilberforce University.
That's it.
It is a AME school in Wilberforce, Ohio. HBCU. But I also got to give a shout out to Livingstone College in Salisbury, North Carolina. Now, we have on here DSU because this is a Delaware initiative. But let me tell you, there are so many HBCUs throughout our various areas that are doing great work. And we praise God for the various initiatives and community impact that each of these schools are having. But keep in mind, the church, well back in the early 1800s, late 1700s, it was the church that was birthing educational institutions. And what Mr. Howard just said, oh my goodness, I think we all need to think about, are we building our own hospitals? Are we building our own clinics? Are we putting our people to work and pushing them forward? And if we're not, Here's the question. Why? Why? We are the answer that we're looking for. And I believe that the Lord has blessed us with intelligence as well as a consecrated heart so that we can always fall in line with that scripture in the book of Matthew, chapter 25, when Jesus said, I need you to feed the hungry, clothe the naked, and provide shelter for my people. For the least you've done unto these, you've also done unto me. Thank you again for being a part of the round table discussion. And guess what, students? I'm going to get your names from Dr. Gwendolyn Scott Jones, and we're going to put something in your pockets.
Yes.
Because you all have sacrificed your time, and we appreciate you. We're going to put something in your pocket, some type of care package, just to say thank you. And we want to wish you well as you continue your endeavors. Thank you again for being a part of the HealthNut Virtual Conference 2022. Let's have a word of prayer and close out. Thank you, Lord, for bringing us together across the world to discuss best health practices, wellness, and nutrition. We hope that you are pleased, and we ask for your guidance, and we are receptive to the teaching of the Holy Spirit. Please touch and bless our various speakers and presenters. Bless our sponsors, producers, and leadership. Keep us by your grace. And we ask that as we return on tomorrow for day 2, that we will have a more powerful encounter with you as we learn how to eat better and live healthier. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Let us all say amen. God bless you.
Amen. Amen.
You can take us out with the credits. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you, everybody.